were kind of getting into something I was also wanting to ask you, which is what role are these other countries playing? Um, well, we can focus on like the big powers like US, the China, the West, like those places. We can save that for later, but the more local, regional power countries like, say, Rwanda and Uganda, what role are they playing in the conflicts happening in Eastern Congo?
Rwanda, particularly, Rwanda has always ambition to secure access to Congolese minerals. This is known from reports from UN reports from independent organizations. Rwanda has an ambition. Rwanda is a small country. Uh, Congo has a lot of spaces. Maybe Rwandan would control one of them. You can see that in official speech. They don't hide the idea that Kivu was one of their territory, and now to to justify their presence in Congo, they have to to invade. They have to create rebellions, to arm them. Here's what you can see, starting with the first alliance that defeated Mobutu regime. It was called AFDL, so it is Alliance for the Liberation of the Congo. After that was the Rally for Democracy into 1988, armed by Rwanda, and they faced the Laurent Désiré Kabila's regime. And after that, you have CNDP, armed by Rwanda, facing Kabila-san regime. And now you have all those groups until the M23. They all have one denomination, one symbol, the Rwanda. Rwanda armed them. The last United Nations report recognized it, and you have a couple of reports that say it, and again, Rwanda armed them. The idea for Rwanda is to not be seen, but to be there exploiting illegally minerals from Congo. Rwanda
Mhm.
does not have coltan. Rwanda does not have all these minerals, but Rwanda export them. Rwanda control the supply chains in the region. How can you explain that? That is the reason why Rwanda is invading the Congo. And you have all the other powers too. In the first war of Congo, Rwanda was not alone. Rwanda came in alliance with Uganda, Burundi. Burundi is not really influencing the game, but Uganda, yes, Uganda and Rwanda, they face each other in what we call the 6 days war in Kisangani. This was terrible for the population. Why they face each other? Because they wanted to control the diamond site in that region, in Kisangani, which is in the northeastern of Congo. So you can see the main objective is how they can secure access to minerals in Congo. So you have those actors, regional actors. The main one is Rwanda. You have Uganda and Burundi. But what is I don't know how to say it. You have them as threat, then you have them as partners. Now you have Uganda collaborating with Congolese government to to fight against rebellions which threat the national security in Uganda. ADF, maybe you know this group, the ADF group. They collaborate with Congolese government, and at the same time, people in Congo are concerned about the double standard, how to say double game in French, or that Uganda play with Congolese government. So in short, you have those government whose motives are the way they can secure the access to Congolese minerals.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, this second part is actually super useful for me. I mean, I know with Rwanda and Uganda, they're officially allies with each other, and like their politicians, like Museveni and Kigali, which are the presidents of both those two countries, for any viewer who doesn't
Mhm.
know, are like official, like they're at least officially like friends from their youth, like friends for decades. Um, but it seems like been a bit of a quiet competition with each other. So this is helpful to kind of understand. So
Mhm.
it seems like they're as much both cooperating in extracting resources and as much competing and kind of playing like a three-way fight between Congo, Uganda, and Rwanda. Is that fair, or is that accurate?
Yeah, they do both. They do competition and collaboration.
Mm,
In the first war, they collaborate uh, to uh, to defeat Mobutu, and they succeed in that way. And when they arrived in Congo, they found out that the country was really rich with minerals, and then uh, the problem started there. Their alliance was not there anymore, and so from collaboration now they become in competition. They play the both roles, collaborating to secure their respective national security. They do so to fight the Rwandan militia, FDLR, and on the other side, they collaborate, both governments, Congo, Uganda, to fight ADF movement, which is Ugandan one. And when it comes to the minerals, they are in competition.
mm,
This is what occurred in the 6 Days War. Now you can't see the competition really, but it is there.
mm,
You can see it because of the just international justice intervened and condemned Uganda to to pay for that, and they paid a lot of money. You can't see them fighting, but they use the influence. Uh, they every time send troops in Congo. In which country you can see troops every time coming there from Uganda, from Rwanda? The presence of these groups, which is officially to collaborate, it is really to secure their access to the minerals in Congo.
mm. Yeah, this makes total sense. Um, one thing I was thinking about, so I used at one many years ago, I taught high school math in rural Uganda. And I remember at one point, one of the fellow teachers, a friend of mine, there, he had a maybe an unusually glib, very explicit personality. He kind of said what was on his mind. And at one point he was like, Rwanda and Uganda have effectively colonized Eastern Congo,
Mhm.
is something that he said. What do you think about that? To what extent do you think that's true?
I think it is a bit exaggerated, but let's say that it is not in the interest of Rwandans and the Ugandans to see Congo organized, to see Congo become a real state, a viable state. So they want it to be weak, so they can play what they do to influence their agenda. Uganda does not have that much influence, but it is they push they push Rwanda. They let Rwanda play this role, but both of them knows that Congo it is a big state. It's a big territory, and for them it is in their strategy to control those spaces. And so, yeah, as I said, the weakness of the Congo is an advantage for them, and they will never let Congolese reorganize their society. This will be bad for Rwanda to see a strong state. That's why I said in my third key, my third factor, this factor is about the Congolese state. I will say that it is the responsibility first for Congolese, but it is also the responsibility for the international community to accompany Congolese to build the state, to have a state with a power, with a military power, a viable army that can defend the territory, that can secure and protect populations. You will see this uh, relationship with power in the region will become more respectful, more in partnership, instead of what we see now with two invading states and one who is really big theoretically, but in terms of state, it is not that strong enough. And the international community need to help Congos to face this threat from those powers in the region.
Yeah, this makes total sense. I was going to also ask you about the international community a little more broadly, zooming out beyond Congo, Uganda, Rwanda. What do you think about the US, China, maybe other kind of international bodies in their various responses, and maybe other kind of Western responses too? Like maybe could you give like a bit of an overview of how they have interacted in this whole situation for the last like decade or so?
Okay, in the last decades, the reaction of the Western powers was uh, to to be kind, I can say, with Rwanda. They have a gentle reaction against Rwandan behavior in Congo. They were hesitating to condemn Rwanda, uh, obviously because of the genocide. You know, the international community didn't react to stop genocide. You can remember in that time they had what they call MINUL, which is a mission, a United Nations mission in Congo. It was not able to stop the violence. So the international community seems feel like they are a bit responsible,
Mm.
accountable for this genocide. They let Rwanda do whatever they have to do on Congo because of genocide for those years of the war. In the meantime, they let Rwanda invade in Congo. They let Rwanda exploiting illegally Congolese minerals, and they use those minerals. You know, we all use phones, and I say, as I said before, phones, tablets, computers, those things, not all of them, but the major of that come from Congo's minerals, and as people living in Western societies, we use it. So, in some way, we as I say in the name of Western society. So Western societies, they are part of the problem. They are not
Mm.
out of the story. They contribute to this war by using this material when it become phones or electric vehicle. So you can see that they participate, but this dynamic uh, starts to change a bit. You have now the United Nations condemning Rwanda's behavior, Rwanda's activities, military activities in Congo. The last resolution in the Security Council was really clear. It said Rwanda is invading Congo, Rwanda is arming rebellions, and Rwanda have uh, to be accountable of what is coming in Congo. For the first time, the uh, uh, 2773 resolution was clear about that. But the thing is, they can condemn, but they do nothing. Now we can see the narrative is changing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump came with a new strategy. Donald Trump is bringing business diplomacy. And the idea for him is to see how he can transform what Congolese call predation on their minerals, how we can transform it into uh, a cooperation. This is the key with the Washington deals. It tried to put economics in the center of the strategy to see how those people, because the thing is, Rwanda is fighting in Congo for economic motives. So how can we make that all these regional countries benefit from the minerals without um, uh, without hurting the Congolese sovereignty? So Washington deals try to do it, and you have a couple of countries, France a little bit, Europeans. They start now to condemn Rwanda and to ask for a peaceful resolution. It is not enough, but we can see that it is changing now. So yeah, maybe we can talk a bit about those uh, those Washington deals. We are now in that, but in the meantime, you have Chinese. I think you mentioned it in your questions you sent to me about what Obama decided. The administration and Obama took out a couple of minerals societies because of the idea for Obama was how he can limit, how he can stop the link between minerals and conflicts. And the idea was to do so. But the thing is, when you, as a major superpower, you are not present in the areas like in Congo, and then you let other superpower to come in. That is what Chinese did after that decision from Obama, and the Chinese are now controlling a couple of mineral sites in the south of Congo and a bit in the Kivu as well. The idea now for Donald Trump is to confront and to challenge, that is the word, to challenge the presence of Chinese in in the Congo's mineral sphere, and the Washington deals try to do so. It creates it suggests to create what they call a framework, an regional economic framework in which Congo and Rwanda can work together to uh, to organize and secure supply chains in minerals, in energy, in transportation. All these are the good ideas, but the thing for Congolese, they feel like it is rushing, and it lacks transparency. They don't know what exactly is decided, because the feeling in Congo is like, okay, now Rwanda was exploiting illegally our minerals. And with this agreement, Rwanda will do it officially. This is the feeling in Congo. But I took the time to read this agreement. For me, it is a good start. It provides a framework where people can work and reflect. And a part of that, you have the Congo USA agreement, which will provide uh, the access, the US access to minerals, and in exchange, US will provide security, financing for Congolese projects. So you can say with Donald Trump, there is a bit, what I can say, the paradigm is changing, but we need to see effectively with transparency what is going on. These are questions people are asking now in Congo. So from what we saw before in 3 decades, uh, Western countries not even condemning Rwanda, and now you can see when M23 entered in Uvira after Washington Accords was signed. The leaders in Washington was very hard with Rwanda. You can remember Marco Rubio tweet in X was very, very furious against Rwanda. For the first time, you can see those things happening. For Congolese, it is something they take seriously.
Yeah, this makes total sense. I mean, in my personal opinion, I mean, it seems like Donald Trump's strategy is much more crass in a certain way. It's much more like it's about the resources, it's about this. Though what might be a little complicated about that is that he might be more saying the quiet part out loud. In that the US has always seemed to have we're going to protect the people, we're going to ensure human rights, we're going to deal with the sources of the conflict, but then in what it says, and then what it actually does is what guarantees its wealth, and guarantees those resources. And it seems like this is maybe a bit of a actually saying that as its explicit policy. Um, I guess one question I have for you is, yeah, so it seems like it's only been a couple months since this got set up, the new stuff. Um, what's your biggest hope? I guess you were kind of talking about your biggest hope with this new policy, but also what's your biggest these new agreements? What's your biggest hope, and what's your biggest source of skepticism, or kind of what are you most worried about with the latest set of agreements?
Okay, these agreements. Okay, what is good is they try to do something new. In my perspective, as I said, the economy is the key. People are fighting for economic interest. Rwanda is invading
Hmm.
Congo for economic interest. They hide it behind the security for Tutsi population, which is really an issue. But for me, as an expert in conflict, the conflict occurs when uh, when parties have divergent interest, divergent needs, divergent values, traditions, and so on. So, how do you resort? How do you settle these conflicts? You need to go through interest, you need to go through needs, values, traditions, and try to reconcile those interests. This is the key to resolve a conflict. How do you put together interest? How do you link it? And how do you find bridges between these interests? So when you look on these conflicts in Congo, you have Rwanda how to secure is the integrity of its territory, its sovereignty. So these are divergent interests. So what Donald Trump tried to do is to reconcile it by putting economics as the center of the problem and invite all these people. How can we make the agreement? How can we make the economy be the issue for all of us? So how can we transform the illegally exploitation into partnership and cooperation? So, first of all, they sign with the help of the USA the ordinary political agreement, which recommends both sides to commit to not attack each other, to neutralize armed groups, and to respect sovereignty, etc. And beside of that, you have an agreement called regional economic framework, in which they try to put Rwanda and Congo work together in supply chains. I know it is not easy for ordinary population in Congo to accept the idea that Rwanda is controlling supply chains with Congo. This is not acceptable. As we know, Rwanda does not have coltan. They doesn't have all those materials they are searching in Eastern Congo. But the idea is, how do we reconcile interest? And Donald Trump tried to do so. So in this framework, economic framework, they try to make that Congo work on transportation, on supply chains. I said it. On energy, you see the Kivu River. The Kivu River have a lot of capacities, for example, to provide power, electricity to the population along that river. So how can both countries work together with the help of the United States? The thing is, they need to be transparent. They need to be honest, and they need to show the population that the Congo is not letting go his sovereignty. And these are the questions. Besides this economic framework, you have United States signing with the Congo to secure access to critical minerals, and in exchange, give protection, give financing to the Congos. For me, it is a good start, which needs to be accompanied by international oversight, and to be more. This region is not the first region to face violence in the history. Europeans experimented the same thing. What we call today European Union was not there for two countries, uh, and now we have 28 countries forming the European Unions on the idea of living together, sharing values, sharing information, sharing benefit in economy. So Rwanda and Congo can do that, but there is a condition. The condition is to rebuild the Congolese state. So I can insist on that. Without a strong state in Congo, without an organized state, what do we find in organized state? Is an army, an organized army capable of defending the territory, and then will be respected by others. A justice, a working justice that uh, uh, can sanction all the bad behavior, because you have in this what I call the war economy. You don't have not only Rwanda dealing with the war economy. You have people from Congo, generals from the army, politician controlling and taking advantage of this disorder, this chaos, and becoming rich uh, because of the instability. So make those people accountable. So you have the beginning of something we can say the peace. If you have an organized state, is the one who can provide services to the populations. I myself studied those groups from Tutsi groups. They live in the conditions that you cannot describe, and they are not the same because of the lack of state, the lack of services, the lack of uh, education, the viable education, viable hospitals, and all those things you can't find in those areas. So first of all, organizing the Congolese state will help it to negotiate is its sovereignty in a good posture, which is not the case right now. So, in short, the economics is the key
Mm.
that can build lasting peace in a Great Lakes region.
Yeah, this makes total sense. Um, one one question I have about the latest agreement. You articulated the theory, which is that the goal was to try to get everyone to align in their interests, so everyone has the same interest so all sides have an interest in that benefits the Congolese people and helps build the state. To what extent, if that's the theory, if that's the goal, if that's the idea, to what extent
Mhm.
you think it will be effective in doing that? Does it actually align
Okay.
people or align the different sides?
Yeah, I'm not naive. I know that state have their own interest. Let's say that it is not in the interest of those actors, Rwanda, foreigners, Westerns, societies. It is not in their interest to see roles uh, being the key, being the central management in this area. So they will try to damage this kind of initiatives to let it be the instability. So That's why I say I'm not naive. I know. I know people will not accept the situation to be normalized. Uh, this is why the international community, even if in the international community you have those people that are playing a role in the instability, but it is its role of international community to accompany those people. So for this agreement to succeed, it needs mechanism of control, mechanism of I don't know if oversight, oversee. I don't know
Oversight's the right
how
word.
oversight
Or
exactly. So
enforcement
they,
too.
exactly, they need that. Without that, uh, uh, we have a couple of agreements from 2000, and now uh, they were good agreements as well, but they failed because of lack of oversight. And Now we have the United States with Donald Trump, who is pragmatic. Maybe we can take advantage of his ambitions of who the one who wants to make the peace in the world. We know this is theoretical, but he wants to secure the interest for the United States first. But in some way, he can help because he is not predictable. Uh, this is an advantage, and maybe not. But yeah, they have to use their power to uh, to push on both sides to respect their commitment. It is not easy when it comes to for the countries such as Rwanda to evaluate their interest. So the question is that good for them to maintain instability or to go to the organized region? That is the question. And if we respond to that question, and if actors, the major actors such as the United States, respond to these questions, maybe we can see the light.
Mm, this makes total sense. I guess fingers crossed. One of the final questions I have for you. One of the most common discourses in the U.S. around around Congo and around the conflict is around trying to avoid um, buying things that are made from mines that have bad conditions, or from funding violent groups through the things we buy and stuff like this. This is often, on a practical level, in my experience, how the discourse is. And what I wanted to ask you is, how effective do you think it is to just not buy things from the Congo? I mean, this might relate more to the Obama side, where Obama was able to establish a little more effective sanctions that didn't buy as much from some of the mines and some of the areas that are controlled by rebels, or mines that have poor conditions and stuff like this. Um, but you talked about this. What you saw in some of those regions was China just kind of swooped in and kind of kept things on, because they also want these resources. I guess, to what extent do you think that type of approach is effective in helping to promote peace and helping to promote things like, you know, better life for people in this part of the Congo, better quality of
Mhm.
life? I guess that's how to phrase that. Better life.
So yeah, so refusing to buy maybe phones, tablet, computers. Um, I know. I can remember what they call Kimberley process. Kimberley process was an initiative to prevent uh, effectively products to prevent buying products that came from the region such as Sierra Leone or Liberia.
Yeah, like the blood
Uh,
diamond.
it was a blood diamonds, exactly. So that was it is a good example of what they can do. But here it is different. How do
Mm,
you know your phone is? Yeah, we know theoretically we know that, but you don't have the proof that it comes from Congo. We have Congo as a coltan, but other countries too. The how can ordinary people in Western societies contribute is to push on their uh, their representatives in parliaments, uh, because people have the power of the vote, and they can uh, exercise this power to their representative and to push them to call for accountability to the government. This is the way democracy works, and I was invited a couple of weeks ago in Rimouski region, is in Quebec, on this question of what can Western public do to help people in Congo. It is by pushing hard to their government, and locally to the member of parliament who will come to seek for vote, and to tell them they need to do something. Uh, this being said, government in USA, France, Canada, and everywhere, they have interest to secure. They have interest, and those interests uh, go through societies, mineral societies that work in Congo and everywhere else. So it is a dilemma for them between economics interest and values, ethical values.
mm.
And what consumers can do is uh, to ask for ethical values on what they buy. I don't know in what way they will do it, but it is by pushing hard on the representative to do something to show how ethical values are promoted from the societies that work in areas, conflicts areas, such as Eastern Congo.
Yeah, this makes total sense. I mean, I think maybe one big difference with some of the stuff in like Sierra Leone versus Congo that might be important is that, like with blood diamonds, diamonds at the end of the day are a luxury. Like someone could just not have diamonds, or they can
Mhm.
even still wear jewelry but not a diamond. Maybe they go with other jewels or stuff like this. But like it's much harder to just not go with a phone. Or, electric vehicles are important. They're important for helping the environment. The current stuff in the Congo very much aligns with some of the key products in our in our modern tech world. And that might make it harder to, because the demand is there and the demand is worldwide. Um, and that's where the exploitation comes from. Um, I The final
Mhm.
question I have for you is, for anyone interested in learning more about your work, and then maybe also about like what's been going on in the Congo in general, but maybe your work in particular, where would you recommend they go to check that out?
Oh yeah, I have a couple of works on they just have to Google my name. They will see what I'm working on. I have a book. I have a book. This book is my first book. It is an Congo political conflict in Congo. It is in French. If they read in French, they will find just Google my name. This book. Uh, it is about the political conflicts that occur every time when we have change and then we go back to the conflict about who can hold the power and stuff like that. And if you want to understand the Gen Z movement against government about term, 1, 2 term, 3 terms, and then you have some insight here. I work on Rwanda too. My thesis is coming out. I work on my new book, which is mainly on my thesis about ethno-nationalism and violence, with a focus on Banyamulenge and Congo. Congo is another group in DRC. So it will come out very soon. Scientific articles on Rwanda on a peaceful mechanism, and I give a lot of interview in media. If you Google my name with TV5 Monde, Google my name with Deutsche Welle. Deutsche Welle, I have a couple of interview there. I will share with you the links if you want. Um, um, Deutsche Welle, Radio Canada. So just Google my name. You will find out my works and on what I work precisely. About Congo, I worked there as a journalist, so I have a bit of knowledge of the Congo, what people need in the peace, and the peace will come through the comprehension, the understanding from each groups in a region. We have minerals, and these minerals don't benefit to the populations. This is the question Congolese leaders have to ask themselves: how can we put an end to these conflicts and start to develop our country and let these people benefit from all those minerals God just gave to us?
Yeah, this makes total sense. Well, yeah, and if you could please send those resources, I'll include them in the description below.
Mhm.
Thanks
Okay.
for taking the time to talk, and I agree. I mean, you and I are recording this around Christmas time. I might, by the time I post it, it might be a little later, but Christmas is a time for peace and what people talk about peace, and this is one of the biggest places in the world that needs peace. So let's hope. I guess that's the what we can do. And like you said, talk to people, maybe talk to our politicians. This is an important part of the world for important place for that, where a lot of violence
Mm.
and a lot of ugly things have happened. Um, but yeah, thanks for taking the time to chat now. I guess I hope you have a good rest of your holiday season, holiday week. New Year's coming up in a couple of days.
Exactly. Thank you, Stephen, for the invitation.